Hey everybody, I'm going to do the info dump book tag. My name is Ramsey. I do the Rajathon YouTube channel, and I wanted to address some of the stuff going on in America right now with George Floyd and stuff. But I know tags last a long time, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it at the end. So what I'll do is right about here somewhere. If you just want to watch that, there will be a timestamp for the end of the video, and if 6, 8 months from now or a year from now or whatever you're watching this tag, and most of that stuff has hopefully come to a very positive resolution for George Floyd's family and all that. And you go, well, that's in the past. So if you want to skip right to it, it's right here. I don't know if I explained that well, but I do want to talk about it at the end. So if you want to skip to that, that's totally feasible, and you can do that. All right, so Faye from Books and Chocoholic created this tag. It's the info dump book tag, and I've been sitting on it for a while. I'm just behind on videos, and I'm really sorry, Faye, but it's a great tag, and I want to get into it. So I wrote all the prompts down, got all my answers, and I'm excited to do it for you guys today. So question 1, how many books on average do you read? Generally, lately, it's been about 8 to 10 books. If you add some short stories and stuff, it does bump up a little bit higher, but 8 to 10 books has generally been where I'm at. Graphic novels and stuff like that can add to it, but generally, book types, 200 to 1,000 page books, generally is about 8 to 10 per month. Question 2 is how many books are on your TBR? I use Goodreads basically for the TBR function. That way when I'm at the store, perusing Goodwill or whatever, I can look up and go, hey, do I have this book? Do I want this book? Or in the library or whatever. Currently on there's about 900 books that I'd like to read that I've put on a list, and I've actually picked to put on that list. And every video I watch on BookTube adds to it. So currently around 900. Question 3 is how do you organize your books on your shelves? So really, I don't have an organizing system. On the disorganized bookshelf, which I will show you a quick video of, my son and my daughter both have a shelf, and my wife has most of her books upstairs, but she has some in the top shelf on that bookshelf. And then on the one behind me here, I'll show you a video of it as well. It is done basically, middle of it is books that are favorite books, and then bottom are books I'd really like to get to this year, and then top is classics and just pre-books. So I'll show you that right now. Okay, for how my shelves are organized, really this shelf is the one behind the YouTube kind of backdrop kind of thing. And so this one is mostly this shelf is your classics and sort of nice looking books. Like I got a whole set of Mark Twain books here. That Robinson Crusoe book I talked about in a book haul, found it at Goodwill for like $1, but it's like from the 1920s. The Odyssey, some other stuff like that. And then this is kind of like a favorite shelf. You got like your Sanderson, your Robert Jordan, your Dune. Also another favorite shelf, we got Empire of Silence, Sin Lin Ascends, Expanse, Lightbringer, which I like a lot. And then these are some of the other ones. These, that's a really nice Hobbit. That's like a 75th edition, I don't know, something. And then these are some of the sci-fi paperbacks that I just love the covers on. And come down here, and never read the Fountainhead. I read Atlas Shrugged. It was okay. Some other stuff that I just enjoy on the BookTube shelf. Beneath the Scarlet Sky and Tinker Soldier Sailor Spy and Black Company Outlander. I've never read some of these. World Without End, I think I did read. But some of these are stuff that I really want to get to. Dune again, Pillage of the Earth. I did a review on that one. It's pretty good. And then this is like Warhammer, this area right here. So getting into that, found a bunch of those at Goodwill. Okay, so this is my more disorganized bookshelf. Bunch of the paperbacks that I've got here. Got the Left Behind books. I've got the first 4 of those, Tolkien, Shakespeare. Got some pictures, some Uno cards, stuff like that. This is my son's shelf, And these are all the books. Sorry, get my hand out of the focus a little bit there. These are all the books that he's got on his little shelf. He's picked up some of my Animorph stuff. And then my daughter has this shelf, plus some of my comics on this shelf, and just some random stuff like a boombox for audio CDs. And then this is another shelf. This side of the shelf has, it's too deep. I just was really trying to get a bunch of books on this shelf here, and then some nicer hardback editions as well. Question 4 is, which book genre do you read from the most? I would like it to be more sci-fi than it is, but basically it's just fantasy. For many months, I read only fantasy, and then my nonfiction is just almost non-existent. It's a lot easier for me to read nonfiction in an audiobook. I drive an hour each way to work. I drive from my house to Atlanta, and so I really audiobooks are such an easy way to absorb nonfiction because I do have ADHD and I get a little bored. Fantasy keeps me in the story because the story is so engaging and entertaining. Um, so I have trouble picking up books that they may have great topics in them, but if I find myself getting a little bored, I struggle with them. Question 5 is, which genres do you own the most of? For me, it is fantasy for sure, but I am picking up a ton of paperback sci-fis. I showed you in the bookshelf thing that I just did that, I'm really trying to pick up on them. I've got a bunch that I want on my TBR, and hopefully I can pick them up and read them. You can find a lot of sci-fi paperbacks at thrift stores and Goodwills in the U.S. if you're in the U.S. For very, very cheap, and they've been a lot of fun to pick up and read a bunch of, hopefully, soon. Question 6 is, what is your preferred form of reading? Physical, audio, or ebooks? For a while there, ebooks I would have said was my favorite, but since I've started the BookTube channel, I really enjoy reading a physical book, like sitting down and reading it and holding it. Everybody who's a big book fan knows that like the smell of a good book, like an older book, that paper smell is like a smell we all enjoy. So I'd say physical books right now, and then while I'm driving, audiobooks are fantastic. So I'm not a snob on any one of the three for sure. Question 7 is, who's your most owned author? That's gonna be Robert Jordan. I own 17 of his books. So Wheel of Time's my favorite series. I'm a big fan of his. Didn't really enjoy Warrior of Altai, as I've said in previous videos, but other than that, I really enjoy Robert Jordan's work. Question 8 is, describe your favorite writing style. I never studied literature in like college or anything like that. I went to a trade school to work on elevators. So I don't understand all the time when people talk about like prose and a lot of those like very descriptive literature terms. So I may be getting this wrong, but I like third person where you can hear their thoughts if I'm in the right frame of mind here. Thinking about like the way that it is written for me to engage with. I like when you kind of are looking at the whole story in third person, but you also hear what they're thinking in their head. If I answer that question wrong, I'm sorry. Question 9 is, what is the literature device that you like the most or that you dislike? Again, didn't study literature, so I'm pretty sure a literature device is just like stuff that kind of adds to the story. So I like quotes that kind of, or like prophecies at the beginning of the chapter that kind of give you a glimpse on what you're going to see in the book later. But anything that pulls you out of the story, like world building that doesn't make sense or something like that, that's at the beginning of a chapter, or I don't know, like I don't mind some mixed media stuff where like you get a journal entry or like something comes on the radio or they sing a song or something like that. Generally, none of that bothers me, but anything that pulls you out of the story, I don't enjoy. Question 10 is, what character archetype do you enjoy the most? I love the dependable best friend. I know they're generally a side character, but the dependable best friend is just a great addition to any book. You've got a best friend that you can count on, that, the main characters like walking into a swamp and they need to be pulled out by their best friend. Or they're, whatever that is. The dependable best friend is where I really enjoy it. Question 11 is, what is your favorite book setting? I love a good journey story. Driving, riding horses, camels, walking, whatever you're doing. If we're going on a trip, let's go on a trip. I'm there for it. even riding dragons, whatever. I want to go on a journey. I want to go somewhere with our characters. So that's what I like to. That's probably my favorite thing to do. Question 12 is, what is your favorite romantic plot type? Like, what do you like in your romances? For me, I actually really enjoy the arranged marriage plot. I think when it works well. I mean, sometimes when it doesn't work well too, like Game of Thrones, it doesn't work well. But some books, Lightbringer has a really good arranged marriage. Um, the Wildcat series by J.P. Harker has a really good arranged marriage. When these arranged marriages come up, and it's like they grow to love one another, and they're really learning so much more about one another, and realizing, hey, this person is actually a really good person, and I'm glad I'm married to them. They fall in love. I like that. I like it a lot. So I want to go ahead and tag a couple people. I want to do Brian from Bookish, Working Man Reads, and Megan from Megan's Reading Revelation. I think they would really enjoy this tag, and if they'd like to do it, I'd love to watch their videos on it. All right, so my thoughts on the George Floyd case is it was clearly murder. May 25th, 4 officers held George Floyd down. They were trying to put him in a cop car, and I guess he collapsed or he didn't want to get in. He said he was very claustrophobic. I wrote some stuff down. He was arrested because a deli employee called 911 because of a possible fake $20 bill. Might not have even been his fault. Like, he may have got a bad bill from buying something or something like that and didn't know it was counterfeit. So, through this whole thing, I've been researching, looking up. I don't have a ton of money to donate. I'd like to donate to somebody. I haven't picked one yet, so I'm not going to put links in my description. But there's a lot of people who have, places that they're donating, and if you want to do that, you do that. Don't take my recommendation. I'd hate to send you to a scammer or something like that. There's a lot of people that are going to prey on people at this time to say, hey, I'll give all this money to whatever. Do your research. I'm not saying don't donate. I'm saying do your research on who you donate to. I'd like to, and I'm going to try to find one. My thought and what I want, I'm going to add to my TBR. I usually put my TBR right here, but I want to add some books to my TBR. I may not get to them all right now, but I see a ton of cops, right? And I feel like the way that we can help immediately is to minimize people interacting with police, right? Especially the black community. There's a higher amount that black people are engaging with police officers. My week, I saw 4 police officers on Wednesday, 3 or 12 on Thursday. Let me say that again. In my week last week, I saw personally 4 police officers. On Thursday, I saw 12, and on Friday, I saw 9. That's an average of 7 to 8 times I personally saw police officers in 3 days. And we have to minimize that. I believe we're rapidly approaching a police state, and we don't need to. We need to make less crime. We need less crime ability. We need less ability for people to interact with the police officers. So, easy way to start that. I live in Georgia. Marijuana arrests I found stats up till 2016, and it didn't differentiate in race. But possession, you got 25,136 in 2014. You had 25,277 in 2015, and 25,743 in 2016. I mean, you can stop 25,000 times that a person interacts with police officers just by legalizing marijuana. So I've added some books to my TBR, and I really want to find solutions. I know a lot of people are talking about, why racism exists and stuff like that, and that's a very important topic. But I would like to focus more on a solution. I would like to focus more on, if we can prevent one death, let's do that. Let's find a way to do that. Let's find a way to get there in our thinking. So I put a couple books on my TBR. Hopefully I'll find some pictures for you. I got Marijuana Legalization, What Everyone Needs to Know. I didn't write down the author's name on that one, but in the picture you'll probably see it. Rethinking Incarceration, Advocates for Justice That Restores. Really just, we have an opportunity. If, okay, somebody's locked up, let's get them a college education. Like, why are we not working hard for young men and young women that are arrested? Like, they get out of jail and then they're a felon, and then they don't have the opportunity to get good gainful employment. Then they're doing like dead end jobs and things like that, unless they start their own business, which that'd be awesome if we can get people starting businesses. But um, it young black men mostly are set in this situation where they go to jail for marijuana possession, and then they're a felon, and then they're sitting there going, now I don't have any options, right? I've heard that said a lot, where they don't have any options because they can't get a good job, they can't, and so this is a huge fear and a huge thing, that if we could legalize marijuana throughout the country, not even thinking about tax, like the tax benefits here in the U.S., like what you look at Colorado's debt, they're solving their debt just by legalizing marijuana. Um, Okay, back to my TBR. The Color of Compromise, the truth about America's church complacency. I think Christianity and racism don't mix, and people that try to justify racism through Christianity are ridiculous idiots. And so I'd like to read something about how the church is combating racism, and want to get into that. Also, another one, The Color of Law. It was like ways that laws were made to discriminate. So I wanted to look into that. This one's not nonfiction. It's The Souls of Black Folk by W.E.B. Du Bois, or I might be saying that Du Bois. But I believe I read one of his poems when I was in school. It was about a young black man with a trumpet. I remember loving it. So I'd like to read. I've heard it's a very powerful book and piece, and so I'm looking for those in my libraries and local bookstores. And if I have to, I'll just go buy it on Amazon. But I haven't found these books yet, but I'd like to add them to my TBR and really get into it a bit more. But yeah, that's my thought on it. If we can minimize police interaction, we can save lives, and that's what I hope in my reading and in my study and what I donate to. That's what I can do. If Please donate to something. If you feel comfortable with it, just don't get scammed. I got hacked not too long ago, and that's been a big worry of mine for a while. So, but yeah, I think we've got to do something, and I want to help however I can help, and I hope that you guys do too. So that's the end of this video. Talk to you later. Bye.